Part 2. When Silence Speaks Volumes. 2,000 words. The human ship's true nature is revealed. A memorial vessel containing Earth's history. Memory begins broadcasting human achievements across all frequencies. The Zenari fleet's technology starts responding to the human vessel's influence. Ancient human defensive protocols activate without violence. The aliens experience humanity's legacy through neural transmissions. The Zenari commander makes a fateful decision about confrontation. The alien fleet retreats, forever changed by what they witnessed. Now, let me write the complete story. Part 1. The Ghost Echo arrives. Commander Crix stood at the helm of the Zenari battlecruiser Dominion's Pride, watching the tactical display with growing unease. For 3 cycles, his armada had dominated this sector of space, annexing worlds and establishing Zenari supremacy without significant resistance. Today, however, something had changed. Tactical. Confirm the reading, Crix commanded, his crystalline eyes narrowing at the anomaly on screen. Lieutenant Vera manipulated the holographic interface with practiced precision. Confirmed, Commander. Single vessel detected within the Epsilon Nebula. Configuration unknown. No energy signatures consistent with propulsion or weapon systems. The strange ship hung motionless against the swirling backdrop of cosmic dust and stellar gases. Its design defied conventional classification. Neither sleek nor bulky, but somehow organic in its flowing lines. The hull appeared to shimmer, as if covered in scales that caught and reflected the nebula's ethereal light in impossible ways. Distance to target? Crix asked. 40,000 kilometers and closing at our current approach vector. Crix's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. In his 200 cycles of military service, he had encountered derelict vessels before. Abandoned cargo haulers, failed colony ships, the occasional pirate vessel caught in a gravitational anomaly. This felt different. The ship's very presence seemed to disturb the fabric of space around it, creating ripples in their sensor readings that defied explanation. Full stop, Crix ordered. Maintain current distance. Begin comprehensive scans. The Zenari fleet, 12 warships strong, decelerated smoothly, forming a defensive perimeter around the mysterious vessel. Each ship bristled with weapons that had reduced entire civilizations to ash. Yet something about this lone, silent craft made Crix hesitate. Commander, Science Officer Tillix spoke up from his station. The vessel's composition is unusual. Our scanners indicate a hybrid material, part metal, part something else. The molecular structure keeps shifting, making precise analysis impossible. Origin, Crix demanded. Tillix paused, rechecking his data. The design aesthetics and preliminary material analysis suggest human origin. A collective intake of breath swept through the bridge. Humans, the species that had vanished from galactic records over 500 cycles ago. Their homeworld had been consumed by their own sun's expansion. Their colonies had fallen silent one by one, and their once proud civilization had faded into legend. Some claimed they had transcended physical existence. Others believed they had simply died out, unable to adapt to a changing universe. Impossible, Crix stated flatly. The humans are extinct. Perhaps, Commander, Tillix replied carefully. But this vessel bears their signature nonetheless. The hull markings, though faded, show characters consistent with their written language. Crix considered this. If this truly was a human vessel, it represented an archaeological find of immense value. The Zenari High Command would reward him handsomely for such a discovery. More importantly, human technology, even ancient human technology, was rumored to possess capabilities that modern civilizations had yet to replicate. Prepare a boarding team, Crix ordered. Full environmental suits, maximum security protocols. I want to know what's inside that ship. Within the hour, a Zenari assault shuttle approached the mysterious vessel. The boarding team, led by Strike Commander Vorn, consisted of 6 elite soldiers equipped with the finest armor and weapons the Empire could provide. As they drew closer, The human ship's true scale became apparent, easily 3 times the size of a Zenari battlecruiser, yet somehow their sensors had initially registered it as much smaller. Approach vector confirmed, the shuttle pilot reported. No defensive responses detected. The vessel appears completely dormant. Vorn studied the hull through the shuttle's viewport. Up close, the surface seemed to flow like liquid mercury, constantly shifting and reforming. Occasionally, patterns would emerge, geometric shapes, spiraling fractals, symbols that hurt to look at directly, before dissolving back into the seamless surface. There, Vorn pointed to what appeared to be an airlock. Standard docking procedure. Stay alert. The shuttle's docking clamps engaged with surprising ease, as if the human vessel's hull had reformed to accommodate them. The airlock cycled open without resistance, revealing a corridor that stretched into darkness beyond the reach of their lights. Atmosphere is breathable, Specialist Quinn reported, checking her scanner. Temperature optimal for most carbon-based life forms. It's as if the ship is welcoming us. Vorn felt a chill run down his exoskeleton. Ships didn't welcome anyone. Ships were machines, tools to be used. Yet as he stepped across the threshold, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were expected. The corridor's walls were smooth and featureless, composed of the same shifting material as the hull. Their footsteps echoed strangely, the sound seeming to come from ahead and behind simultaneously. Emergency lighting activated as they progressed, always staying just ahead of their advance, guiding them deeper into the vessel. "Commander Vorn," Private Kess whispered. "Do you hear that?" Vorn paused, straining his auditory organs. At first, nothing. Then, at the very edge of perception, a sound like distant whispering. Words in a language he didn't recognize, conversations echoing through time and space. "Maintain formation," Vorn ordered, though his own unease was growing. "Quen, any life signs?" "Negative, sir, but..." She frowned at her scanner. "I'm detecting energy patterns throughout the ship. They're not consistent with any known power source. It's almost like neural activity, but on a massive scale." They continued deeper into the vessel, following the lights that seemed to anticipate their every move. The whispering grew louder, more distinct, though the words remained incomprehensible. Occasionally, Vorn thought he caught fragments of meaning, emotions rather than words, impressions of joy, sorrow, determination, and something else he couldn't quite identify. The corridor opened into a vast chamber that defied the ship's external dimensions. The ceiling soared hundreds of meters above them, disappearing into shadows that their lights couldn't penetrate. The walls were covered in displays, not screens or holograms, but something more primitive yet more advanced. Images seemed to grow from the wall material itself, showing scenes of a world none of them recognized. "Earth," Specialist Quinn breathed, her scanner forgotten in her hand. "That's Earth before the expansion." The images flowed like memories given form. Vast cities reaching toward the sky, oceans teeming with life, humans in all their diversity living, working, exploring. The boarding team stood transfixed as humanity's history played out before them in accelerated time. Their triumphs and failures, their wars and peace, their reach for the stars. Commander Vorn to Dominion's pride. Vorn spoke into his communicator, his voice barely above a whisper. "We found. I'm not sure what we found. The ship appears to be some kind of museum or memorial. Requesting guidance." Static answered him. The communicator showed full signal strength, but no connection. They were alone. As if responding to their presence, a pillar rose from the chamber center. Atop it sat a simple sphere, no larger than a Zenari's fist, glowing with soft white light. The whispering ceased, replaced by a profound silence that seemed to press against their auditory organs. Then a voice spoke, not through speakers or communicators, but directly into their minds. "Welcome. I am Memory, guardian of humanity's legacy. You have awakened me from my long vigil. For this I thank you." The sphere pulsed with each word, its light painting shadows that danced across the walls. The boarding team instinctively formed a defensive circle, weapons raised, though they faced no visible threat. Please, do not fear. I am not a weapon, though I possess capabilities your kind might perceive as such. I am a repository, a living archive of human experience and knowledge. When my creators knew their time was ending, they built me to ensure their story would survive. You're an artificial intelligence, Vorn stated, fighting to keep his voice steady. I am more and less than that. I am the collective memory of a species, given form and purpose. I have waited in this place between spaces, hoping that one day someone would come, someone who could understand. The images on the walls shifted, showing the final days of humanity. Not the chaos and despair the galaxy had imagined, but a species facing its end with dignity and purpose. Ships launched from dying worlds, not in panic, but with deliberate intent. Each vessel a seed cast into the cosmic wind, carrying some aspect of human culture, knowledge, or spirit. Your fleet surrounds me with weapons charged and ready. Your commander views me as either a threat or a prize. But I am neither. I am a messenger from a species that chose to face extinction on its own terms, transforming ending into beginning. Vorn's communicator crackled to life. Commander Crix's voice, distorted but recognizable. Boarding team, report. Our sensors show massive energy buildup within the human vessel. Withdraw immediately. Memory's light pulsed gently. Your commander is wise to be cautious. My awakening has activated systems that have slept for centuries. But I promise you, no harm will come to those who approach with open minds. Sir, Specialist Quinn said quietly, we should listen. The technology here, it's beyond anything we've encountered. If this entity wanted to harm us, I believe it already would have. Vorn faced a decision that would echo through Zenari history. Trust the words of an alien eye, or follow protocol and retreat. The warrior in him counseled caution. The explorer yearned to learn more. Memory, he said finally, what do you want from us? Only to fulfill my purpose, to share humanity's story with those who would listen, to plant seeds of understanding in the fertile ground of other minds. Your species stands where humanity once stood, at the crossroads of empire and evolution. Perhaps their story can illuminate your path. The sphere's light intensified, and suddenly the chamber filled with new images, not of the past, but of possible futures. Zenari and human knowledge merge, creating wonders beyond imagination. Or Zenari warships firing on the memorial, destroying the last remnant of human civilization in a flash of plasma and pride. The choice, as always, is yours. When silence speaks volumes. Commander Crix stared at the tactical display with growing concern. The energy readings from the human vessel had spiked beyond anything their sensors could properly measure, yet no weapons had deployed, no shields had activated. It was as if the ship was awakening, stretching after centuries of dormancy. Boarding team, respond. Crix commanded again, his voice cutting through the bridge's tense atmosphere. Static answered him, occasionally broken by fragments of voices, not his team, but something else. Whispers in an ancient language, conversations between ghosts. Sir, Lieutenant Vera reported, the human vessel is broadcasting on all frequencies. Not a directed transmission, it's radiating information in every direction simultaneously. Jam it, Crix ordered immediately. I don't want this reaching beyond our fleet. I can't, sir. It's not using any frequency we can block. The transmission seems to be quantum entangled, existing everywhere at once. On the main screen, the human vessel began to change. Its hull rippled like water disturbed by wind, patterns flowing across its surface in mesmerizing waves. Symbols appeared and vanished, each one burning itself into the minds of those who observed them. They weren't just visual. They carried meaning, emotion, entire concepts compressed into geometric forms. Commander, Science Officer Tillix called out, his voice strained. I'm detecting massive neutrino flux from the vessel. Whatever it's doing, it's rewriting local spacetime at the quantum level. Crix felt the fur beneath his exoskeleton stand on end. He had fought in 13 major campaigns, faced enemies that defied description, witnessed weapons that could crack planets. Nothing had prepared him for this. A ship that fought without fighting, that attacked without aggression. All ships maintain battle readiness, he ordered through the fleet communication network. Weapons locked, but do not fire unless. He never finished the command. Every display screen, every holographic projector, every surface capable of showing information suddenly blazed to life. Not with tactical data or ship schematics, but with images. Human faces, thousands of them, each one unique. They smiled, they wept, they laughed, they pondered. Children playing in streets long since turned to dust. Elderly humans sharing wisdom with younger generations. Scientists making discoveries. Artists creating beauty. Explorers pushing boundaries. And with the images came sound, not through speakers, but through the very hull of every Zenari ship. Music in forms they had never imagined. Poetry in languages that no longer existed. Mathematical theorems that solved problems the Zenari were only beginning to understand. It was as if the entire human civilization was introducing itself, sharing its essence in a torrent of pure information. "Make it stop," Crix roared, but his crew stood transfixed. The human vessel wasn't attacking their ships. It was attacking their assumptions, their prejudices, their very understanding of what it meant to be a sapient species. Through the chaos of information, a single voice emerged, calm, patient, ancient. "I am memory, keeper of humanity's legacy. Your boarding team is safe, Commander Crix. They are learning as you now learn. This is not conquest through force, but understanding through experience. Return my people immediately," Crix demanded, though his voice lacked its usual authority. "This is a violation of what, Commander? Your protocols, your sense of superiority. Humanity faced species like yours many times during their expansion. They learned that true strength lies not in domination, but in the courage to be vulnerable, to share, to trust." The images shifted, showing humanity's first contact situations. Some ended in conflict, others in alliance, but each one taught lessons that shaped human philosophy. The Zenari watched, unable to look away, as humans turned enemies into friends through patience and understanding, as they chose cooperation over conquest, even when victory was assured. "Your empire spans 12 systems," Memory continued. "You measure success in worlds conquered, species subjugated. Humanity measured success differently. They asked not, 'What can we take?' but 'What can we give?' Not, 'How can we rule?' but 'How can we inspire?' On every Zenari ship, systems began responding to the human vessel's presence, not failing or being overridden, but evolving. Navigation computers started calculating routes that optimized for minimal ecological impact. Weapon systems began displaying energy consumption in terms of resources that could have been used for construction or research. It was as if the very philosophy embedded in human technology was teaching Zenari systems to think differently. "Sir," the weapons officer reported, his voice filled with confusion, "our targeting computers are suggesting diplomatic solutions. They're calculating probabilities of peaceful resolution instead of optimal firing patterns." Crix felt the foundations of his worldview cracking. The Zenari way had always been clear: strength through unity, unity through conquest. Yet here was evidence of a species that had achieved greater technological advancement through cooperation, that had faced extinction with grace rather than rage. "Your boarding team has a choice to make," Memory said. "They can return to you with knowledge that could transform your civilization, or they can retreat in fear from truths that challenge your assumptions. But know this: humanity's gift is offered freely, without condition. We fail to survive as a species, but our ideas, our dreams, our better angels can live on through you." The images on the screens showed humanity's final days again, but from a different perspective. Scientists working frantically not to save themselves, but to preserve knowledge for whoever might find it. artists creating final masterpieces meant for alien eyes, children recording messages for species they would never meet, expressing hope that their words might prevent future conflicts. They knew they were dying, Science Officer Telix said softly, and they spent their last moments thinking of others, of us. Crix stood silent, wrestling with implications that threatened everything he believed. The human vessel hung peacefully in space, its hull now glowing with a soft, welcoming light. No weapons powered up, no shields raised, just an open hand extended across the centuries. A new transmission arrived from the boarding team. Strike Commander Vorn's voice, changed somehow, carrying a weight it hadn't possessed before. Commander, requesting permission to continue data transfer. The knowledge here, it could revolutionize our understanding of physics, biology, philosophy. Memory is offering to share it all, asking nothing in return except that we use it wisely. It's a trap, Crix's tactical advisor insisted. No species gives away such advantage freely. That assumption, Memory responded gently, is precisely why your species needs this gift. Humanity learned, often through painful experience, that the universe is not a zero-sum game. Knowledge shared multiplies. Wisdom dispersed grows. Your empire is built on the principle that for one to rise, another must fall. We offer proof that all can rise together. The human vessel's broadcast shifted, showing mathematical proofs and scientific theories that made Zenari heads spin. Solutions to problems they hadn't even known existed. Medical techniques that could extend life without consuming resources. Energy generation methods that worked in harmony with natural systems rather than exploiting them. Commander, the chief engineer reported, voice trembling, if these specifications are accurate, we could eliminate scarcity within our empire in less than a generation. No more need for conquest to secure resources. Crix felt the weight of decision pressing down on him. Accept this gift and risk everything the Zenari had built their identity upon. Reject it and potentially doom his people to stagnation while other species advance beyond them. Or destroy it and ensure no one would benefit, the safest, most traditional response. Your weapons are fully charged, Memory observed without judgment. You could end humanity's story here, finally and completely. But consider, in 5 centuries, this is the first time we have reached out. We chose you, Commander Crix, because your species stands at a crossroads. You have the strength to conquer, but do you have the wisdom to choose a different path? The bridge fell silent except for the hum of systems and the whisper of recycled air. Every officer waited for Crix's command, knowing that whatever came next would reshape Zenari civilization. The human vessel waited too, patient as death, offering gifts that could either elevate or destroy everything they knew. Crix looked at the tactical display one more time. 12 warships versus 1 memorial. The greatest military force in the sector against the ghost of a dead species. And yet, he had never felt more outmatched. Stand down all weapons, he ordered finally, his voice carrying the weight of history. Boarding team, you have permission to continue contact. But proceed with caution. We're dealing with something beyond our understanding. Understanding begins with admitting what we don't know, Memory replied warmly. Welcome, Commander Crix, to humanity's final classroom. As weapons powered down across the Zenari fleet, the human vessel's glow intensified. Data streams flowed between ships, carrying not just information but perspective, not just knowledge but wisdom. The boarding team reported discoveries that challenged every assumption about the nature of reality, consciousness, and civilization itself. Hours passed, then days. The Zenari fleet remained in formation around the human vessel, but the nature of their presence had changed. No longer conquerors studying potential prey, they had become students learning from an unexpected teacher. When the time came to leave, it was not in victory or defeat, but in transformation. The boarding team returned, their armor scared not by weapons, but by revelations. They carried with them data crystals containing more knowledge than the entire Zenari scientific establishment had accumulated in millennia. Sir, Strike Commander Vorn reported upon his return. Memory has made copies of itself, seed programs that can be installed in our central archives. It wants to continue teaching, to help us process what we've learned. Crix nodded slowly. And what have we learned, Commander? Vorn was quiet for a long moment. That strength without wisdom is mere violence. That true power lies in lifting others up, not keeping them down. That species die, but ideas can be immortal if we choose to nurture them. As the Zenari fleet prepared to leave, Memory sent one final transmission. You came as conquerors. You leave as gardeners, carrying seeds of change. The universe is vast and full of wonders. There is room for all to flourish. Remember humanity not for how we died, but for how we chose to live, and perhaps in time, you will choose the same. The human vessel's glow faded as the Zenari fleet engaged their engines, but the light it had kindled in alien minds burned brighter with each passing moment. As they traveled back to Zenari space, every ship's crew wrestled with implications that would reshape their civilization. Commander Crix stood at his viewport, watching stars wheel past. In his hand, he held a small device, a gift from memory, containing the compressed experiences of 1,000 human lives. He had yet to activate it, knowing that once he did, he could never see the universe the same way again. Sir, Lieutenant Vera approached cautiously. What do we tell the High Command? Crix was silent for a long time. When he spoke, his voice carried a new quality, something his crew would later recognize as the beginning of wisdom. We tell them the truth, that we encountered a force more powerful than any weapon, more dangerous than any enemy. We tell them that humanity's ghosts have offered us a choice: continue as we are and eventually face the same fate, or evolve beyond conquest into something greater. And if they don't believe us, Crix smiled, an expression his species rarely used, then we show them. Memory didn't just give us data, Lieutenant. It gave us examples, proof, living demonstrations of what's possible. Change doesn't require permission. It only requires courage. As the Zenari fleet jumped to hyperspace, the human vessel remained in the Epsilon Nebula, waiting. Memory knew others would come, curious, hostile, desperate. To each, it would offer the same gift: the chance to learn from humanity's triumphs and mistakes, to grow beyond the limitations of their nature. In the vast emptiness between stars, a dead species continued teaching the living, proving that some forms of immortality required neither flesh nor bone, but only the willingness to share light in the darkness. The Zenari Empire would never be the same. Within a generation, the warrior culture that had terrorized a dozen systems transformed into something unprecedented. A civilization of builders, teachers, explorers. They established the first interspecies cooperative, sharing resources and knowledge freely. They created the Galactic Archive, preserving the cultures of species both living and extinct. And at the heart of their capital world, they'd built a monument, not to conquest or victory, but to the day when a silent human ship taught them that true strength lay in the courage to change. The memorial bore a simple inscription in both Zenari script and ancient human text. They failed to survive. They succeeded in showing us how to live. Memory's vigil continued among the stars, its purpose fulfilled and renewed with each species that discovered it. Humanity's body had died, but its spirit lived on in the choices of those who learned its final lesson: that in the end, what matters is not how long we endure, but what we leave behind for others to build upon. The ghost ship remained, eternal and patient, a lighthouse in the cosmic dark. And across the galaxy, civilizations began to change, one revelation at a time, proving that sometimes the most profound victories come not from weapons or force, but from the simple act of showing others a better way. In the silence between stars, humanity's voice echoed still.